Deep-sea divers, what are your horror stories? Throwaway account, as this story is well known among my circles and it would be easy to identify me. I grew up in OZ. When I was 15, I took the family boat out and dove the reef myself to clear my head, mistake number 1. I was down at a depth of about 28 meters, 90 feet, when I was only rated for 60 feet, mistake number 2. Whilst diving, I spotted a 3.5 mako shark coming right at me. For those who are unaware, makos are basically the cheetahs of the ocean, and they only have 2 speeds, curious, harmless, and lunch, very much harmful. This guy was in lunch mode. So I hovered, as I had been trained to do, as there would be no way for me to outmaneuver it or escape it. Nowadays, we dive with shark shields, which emit electronic pulses that freak the sharks out and keep them away, but back then, what we used was essentially a chainmail sleeve. The idea being that sharks hate the taste of metal, so if you give it your arm, it'll bite down, decide you're gross, and move along. So I wait, and it comes, and I do a perfect move to give the beastie my arm. Just before the crunch, however, it occurred to me that I had left my sleeve on my bed, mistake number 3. I had my kelp knife drawn, and stabbed it right as it bit me. It swam off, and I was alive. However, now I had a series of problems. I had huge open gashing wounds on my arm from the bite in open water, and was trailing blood everywhere. Once the shock wore off, you realize that you're in salt water and salt and open wounds don't feel good in a panic. I dropped my weight belt and shot up to the surface without any sort of waiting period. Hello Benz, mistake number 4. Because I hadn't been paying attention to the currents, I was approximately a quarter mile downstream of my boat, which means I had to swim up to it, mistake number 5. When I got to the boat, I really started to wish I had done as my DA had said and had the comms fixed, mistake 6, or that I had upgraded the first aid kit like I had been threatening to do, mistake 7. So I end up racing back to shore with nothing more than a tourniquet to staunch the bleeding. Long story short, my series of unfortunate self-inflicted events earned me 172 stitches, boatloads of physical therapy because the shark had actually bitten down on my tricep and detached it, and easily identifiable scars on one of my arms for the rest of my life. Oh, and I lost my deceased grandfather's favorite kelp knife that he had left me.